Hey, everybody, this is Marcia Riner with the Profit with a Plan podcast. And boy, do I have a treat for you today on the show. I have the most amazing person, John Hewitt, with me. And if you've ever thought about franchising, then you need to listen to this show on Profit with a Plan podcast. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? If you're like most of us business owners, increasing your profitability is always on your mind, and you're probably looking for ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that shares ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia Riner, known as the Profit Booster, and I'm a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small businesses to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guide your growth, and plans for a future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale-ready business creates a win-win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall when it's time to let go. And I want to share strategies with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something really special for you, my podcast audience. If you ever thought about supercharging your business and avoiding the profit plateaus, operational headaches, and growth roadblocks, well, I've created a brand new Profit Booster playbook just for you. You'll uncover 5 essential strategies and quick ways to take action on them. Now, this is not a single-page report. This is a 25-page novella with profitable, impactful strategies, actionable steps, and expert guidance to elevate your profits painlessly. Please, or go ahead, let's make 2024 your best year ever. Go download this playbook at boostingprofit.com. All right, my guest today, wow, boy, are we lucky. We've got John Hewitt. John is a renowned American entrepreneur who has made a significant impact in his business world through his innovative ideas and strategic thinking. He is best known for his success in the tax preparation industry for having founded 2 of the largest tax preparation companies in the U.S., Jackson Hewitt and Liberty Tax. Both companies represent 2 of the top 100 largest retail organizations in North America. Jackson Hewitt ranks second in the tax industry and is one of the fastest growing private companies in the U.S. John is also a best-selling author of I Compete, How His Extraordinary Strategy for Winning Can Be Yours. John, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Marcia.
Excellent. So, hey, I always kind of start this off with, because I know you didn't, start your lemonade stand when you were 3 and decided you were going to go into the tax industry. How did you get into it? And then how did you think that franchising was the actual bonus to everything you've done?
Well, I was one of my many blessings was when I was 20 years old, I found out what I wanted to be. I was a student at the University of Buffalo, and my dad always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And he called H&R Block and said, we'd like to buy a franchise in Hamburg, our suburb of Buffalo, where I grew up. And they said, well, as a matter of fact, we're going to open a company store there, so we can't sell you a franchise, but maybe your son could take our course and work for us. And I took the tax course, got the job, worked part-time. I loved it. And that's how I got involved.
Wow. I know there's a lot of us as tax season starts to get on in the year, that are thinking, loving taxes. There's got to be something else, right?
Well, taxes can be boring in a sense, right? But the beauty of taxes is that Benjamin Franklin said it 250 years ago. There's only 2 certainties in life, death and tax. And taxes it's at least recession resistant, if not recession proof. During the worst recession of our lifetime in 2008 and 2009, at Liberty Tax, we opened 700 new offices. Starbucks closed 650. We were the fastest growing company in North America during the worst recession. Because during a recession, you don't have to buy a fancy cup of coffee or a car or a refrigerator or clothing, but you do have to file your taxes.
You're so on point with that. And what does every business owner want? A recession-proof business, something that's always needed and feared by many. And so wow, wonderful. All right. So then you started up Jackson Hewitt with a friend, right? And then you started a second one. One wasn't enough. Why the second company?
Well, can I answer the first one first?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because I left Block after 12 years. My dad
Oh,
interceded again. I was running 250 H&R Block offices, and my dad said, "Let's computerize taxes." So in 1981, we quit our jobs and built the first tax software for an Apple computer. You're not old enough to remember a world without computers, but there weren't even 250,000 PCs in the country.
wow.
And we built the first tax software for an Apple computer. No one wanted it. And so again, I got blessed and found a company called Mel Jackson Tax Service. Mel had died. We bought 6 offices from his widow. One blessing was that it was headquartered in Virginia Beach, and the weather here is a lot nicer than in Buffalo where I grew up. So I moved to Virginia Beach in 1982, and we changed the name to Jackson Hewitt. We went public, and 15 years later, we sold it for $483 million. So there was no friend that I founded it with. I bought a company called Mel Jackson from his widow, and I was the founder of Jackson Hewitt. So
See,
then,
I didn't even put two and two together. So thank you for clarifying
sure,
that. So,
sure.
but boy,
Then,
talk about
yeah, then I had
serendipity
a
though.
non-compete for 3 years, and uh, the non-compete didn't cover Canada, even though Jackson Hewitt has 6,000 offices. They're in every metropolitan area in the United States. They didn't have anything in Canada. And having grown up in Buffalo, I knew Canadian tax. So we opened Liberty Tax in Canada. And within 3 years, became a top 100 retail chain. So now I had built one of the top 100 retail chains in the United States and in Canada. And then in 2000, when my non-compete ended, we came back to the United States. And now I had to compete against myself, my people, my name, my software, my system. And yet not only did we grow faster than Jackson Hewitt, we grew faster than them and H&R Block combined. We opened 4,000 offices in 12 years, top 10 fastest growing franchisor ever.
Wow. That's impressive. That is truly impressive. And then competing against yourself.
That's been interesting.
Wow. Okay. So tax software has evolved so fast over the last, several dozen years. It's almost to the point where, there's a lot of us that think that we can do it ourselves and we probably shouldn't. So is your tax software still active in the way that Liberty is using it and is H&R, well, is Jackson Hewitt also using the software?
Well, everyone has their own unique software, and in many ways, it's generic, right? It's generic because some of the software is add line 8, 9, and 10, and that gets to 11. So behind the scenes, the calculations are all the same. However, the upfront screens are different, and the best software probes for information. So, for example, if you have rental property, a preparer might not ask you, did you drive back and forth to do repairs or collect rent, or because the mileage is deductible. So some preparers aren't skilled enough to catch every little deduction. And so the software is a crutch to help the inexperienced person get an accurate and thorough tax return.
Nice. Well, thank you for creating all of that and making our lives a lot easier with the tax software, and for creating your companies, making it cost effective for us everyday people to go get our taxes done. So thank you for doing that. But let's talk about the franchising model, because wow, thousands of franchises sold. And were any of those company owned, or were they all just partners coming in and buying the franchise?
Well, I brought in over 5,000 franchisees in my career. So I've changed, and they had hundreds of thousands of employees. So I've changed hundreds of thousands of people's lives. And actually, you mentioned my book earlier. In my book, one thing that I do in my book that doesn't happen in a lot of books, I talk about my mistakes. And the second biggest mistake I ever made at Jackson Hewitt was when we bought Mel Jackson, we had 6 locations, and H&R Block had 9,000. So I decided that we were going to be bigger than H&R Block. We were going to grow from 6, not 6,000, 6 to over 9,000 locations. Well, we never made it. We made it to 6,000, became a $1 billion company. But it was a big, hairy, audacious goal. And we bought 6 offices. In the first season, 6 months later, we had 11 locations. In the second season, we had 15. In the third season, we had 22. So that's pretty good growth to go in 2.5 years from 6 locations to 22.
Exactly.
However, our goal was 9,000. And I said, I'm going to be 9,000 years old before we get there. So we had to change something. And all of those stores were company locations. And so we sold all those stores as franchises and began franchising. And we grew exponentially. We grew to 49 and then 197 and then 354. I mean, we just grew exponentially. So I made the mistake at Jackson Hewitt of not starting franchising from day one. And franchising is beautiful because if you're a quality franchisor, you offer a system of doing business that is second to none. And that's what we offer. And then, but you have this benefit that unlike regular businesses where you're lucky if you can find 3% of employees that act like owners, in franchising, you get about 100% of people that act like owners. And our owners out-hustle the company employees at the competition. So they work harder, they work longer, they work smarter, they work better than the employees of the other companies. And people actually, quality people, have paid me to work for me. Now I've created 1,000 millionaires, but they pay me to work for me. I don't pay them, they pay me. Franchisee pays me to work for me. My job is to give them the best system in the industry. I've been doing that for 55 years. This is my 55th tax season. Your job, if I do my job, your job is to follow that system.
And I think that's the brilliance of franchising is you're given a business that has a complete system and more often a great brand like Liberty and Jackson Hewitt to be able to ride on their coattails a little bit. But, I've heard so many horror stories of people buying businesses or buying franchises and having it not be what they thought it was going to be. How did yours become so successful, right?
Well, let me expand on what you're saying first about them not getting what they expected. Unfortunately, most franchisors fail. And to give you a great example of that, the International Franchise Association is a great organization. They have 4,000 members. 4,000 franchisors belong to the International Franchise Association. But to be in the top 50% of all franchisors, you only need 20 locations. So more than half of the franchisors in the country are failures because they never get to even 100 locations. And so you have to be very careful. You have to do your due diligence. So how did I do it? So how did I'm on my third. We've started Loyalty Brands that has 8 different brands. But at Jackson Hewitt, we got to 6,000 offices. At Liberty, we got to 4,000 offices. Just worlds apart from the most franchisors. Well, the key is very simple. It's extremely simple, and it's unbelievable because the franchisors that fail don't do this simple thing. And the key is 3 words: happy, successful franchisees. You need to have happy, successful franchisees. Most franchisors, all the ones that fail, want a happy, successful franchisor. Well, there's no such thing as a happy, successful franchisor without a happy, successful franchisee. And so you have to commit to have your franchisees be successful and happy. If they're successful and happy, you're unstoppable. If they're not, you can't win. It's that simple, but most people don't behave in that manner.
So here's the $1 million question then. How do you make your franchisees happy and successful?
Well, happiness comes from two different ways, right? And first of all, successful is return on investment. And people think of return on investment in money, but it's return on the investment in both time and money, right? So when I invest my time and my money into something, I have to feel I got a fair return on that investment. And then, so that's successful. And then happy is, okay, I've got a good return on my money, but is this a good culture? Are we giving back? Are we making the world a better place? Can I be proud of my brand name? So it has, and I Marcia, when I was young, your age, I wondered what was the difference between great companies and ordinary or poor companies. And I use the example of Walmart and Kmart. Walmart has become #1 employer in the world, one of the most successful storefront retailer. Kmart's going down the toilet. And I said to myself, what's the difference between the executives at Walmart and the executives at Kmart? The brain trust, the top 3 or 5 or 7. What's the difference? Are they smarter? Are they more experienced? Are they more educated? And I said, no, you can buy the smartest and the most educated and most experienced. What is it then? It's the culture. It's the attitude that they exude. And the culture is different at great companies. And it's almost, it should be on your balance sheet, right? On your balance sheet, you have your equipment and your cash and your notes, but culture should be an asset. It's so important to great companies.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I think, you have a partner you're married to for a long time in the franchise. As long as you're that franchise relationship, there is a working relationship between the host and the user, right? And I think having that cultural environment of saying, we're here to make you successful. So if we're here to make you successful, what do you need, right? And if you have that working relationship, I know any relationship or any partnership can continue and grow strong. Was there any secrets that you did in training the franchisees to be more successful?
Well, there's all kinds of secrets. I mean, you have to have differentiators, right? If David had gone onto the field with the same sword and armor and shield as Goliath, there would be no David and Goliath story. He'd be the 189th guy killed by Goliath, right? So you have to have differentiators. So we have differentiators. We have clear black and white things that we do better than our competition. And so, and it's not we offer better customer service, right? Because if you call CEO of H&R Block and said, who offers the best service? He would say H&R Block. If you call the CEO of Jackson Hewitt, who offers the best service? He would say Jackson Hewitt. But at my new tax firm at A-Tax, we clearly have differentiators. If you like, I'll give you an example of
Please.
One of them. Well, one easy example, and that sets us apart from not only companies in our industry, but companies in all industries. We simply, after the customer's been in, 2 days later, we call them and say, how do we do for you? Now, guess how many companies in America call their customers and ask them? Everyone does surveys. Everyone sends out emails or hands them something to fill out, but only the people that are most satisfied or least satisfied fill out those silly surveys. we call our customers. And what we've learned, Marcia, is that they love being called. So the retention goes up. Our customers come back more often. And I've learned in my career in all my franchise chains that the employees aren't good at asking for referrals. You can try to reward them and incent them, and you can scold them, you can beg them, but they're not good at asking for referrals. So our caller is a very personable, outgoing person, and if the customer says they're happy, they ask for a referral. So we get higher referrals, and we get to improve on the fly. When the tax season is, for example, obviously is 15 weeks from January 1st to April 15th, but you don't want to wait until April 15th to find out how you're doing. It doesn't matter whether I think we're doing good or my franchisee thinks we're doing good. It only matters if the customer thinks we're doing good.
Exactly.
So that's one of the 18 things we do better at ATAX than at any of the top other 3 brands in the country. We call our customers, and that's objective. That's clearly objective. That's not subjective. That's objective.
I love it. And we all have to do that differential thing, because there are many tax preparers with the same company name at every other corner, right? And so with that kind of opportunity for customers to choose which one they're going to, if they're looking only based on price, then you're in a losing situation. So how do you differentiate yourself? And by reaching out and saying, we truly care how we did and how we can make it better, I think that separates out and also, wins you referrals on the tail end of that. Do you find that your business is seasonal in the tax preparing world, or do you encourage your franchisees to find other financial opportunities to work with their customers throughout the year?
Well, we have 2 kinds of franchisees. One just likes to work hard for 3 months and relax the rest of the year.
Nice.
And so even though they're open 1 day a week the rest of the year, they'll often have one of their tax preparers handle those off-season hours. And that's not a bad life, making as much, whatever you want to make, 50,000 a year, 200,000 a year, 2 million a year, whatever you want to make, to work hard for 3 months and make whatever you want isn't a bad life. That's a great life. Now, but that's not enough for a lot of people. And some people want to do other things. And so we have over 24 auxiliary things that you can offer in your office in addition to tax. The most common, obviously, is bookkeeping, payroll, insurance, financial planning, even simple things like notary. We have a lot of things you can do the rest of the year that you can keep busy all 12 months, and that can pay the rent the rest of the year.
Love it. Love it. Sounds like an incredible opportunity, and it can be, your skill set can improve throughout the relationship with them. I'm sure you have. Do they have to be tax preparers before they buy the company, or can anybody buy a tax preparation company?
Actually, of the 5,000 people I brought into the tax industry, half of them didn't know taxes at all. Half of them were either tax preparers or CPAs or accountants who had done taxes, but half of them didn't know anything. And actually, if the people that knew nothing have done better on average than the people that were tax preparers. Because too often when people buy a franchise or go into a business, even if it's not a franchise, they think they're getting a job. They think they're building a job without a boss. Well, that's not what this is about. We don't want tax preparers to own tax businesses just to sit in a chair and do taxes. If you just want to sit in a chair to do taxes, I'll pay you handsomely to do that. We train people to be CEOs. We want you to be CEOs of your business. And the thing that happens, if you've already been a preparer or a mom and pop owner, you come in with bad habits.
Yeah.
You have to, and well, people acknowledge that everyone I know says they want to improve. I rarely would I mean, 95%, if you said, do you want to improve? They would say, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, they say, just don't ask me to change anything. So, so yeah, the people that have experience have bad habits. And the number one thing that we would need you to do is to put aside whatever you think and follow the recipe that I give you. I've been doing this 55 years. Half the people haven't been doing it 55 minutes. How could you think you know better? But it goes against human nature. Out of the 5,000 franchisees I brought in, not one has listened 100%.
Wow. Well, the funny thing is you just said it. I have 55 years of success. You're paying me for my step-by-step strategy, right? My business in a box. You're paying me for the software and the tools and everything I have. Why would you think you can do it better? If you could do it better, go do it on your own, right?
Yeah, you don't have to pay me anything. You can now listen to me for free.
I love it. Not listening to you for free. Okay, so that's probably the biggest challenge business owners have, is that they're stuck in what they think they know better, right? Instead of listening to the experts like yourself, who has done it time and time and time again, 10,000 or more times. You've repeated this process that had the opportunity for great success. So, I always wonder why they go that other path. But, that's, like you said, stubbornness in it. But once you lay out this step-by-step path, right? What would in any franchise, right? What would a typical franchisee come in and expect the first 3 to 6 months or first year look like? Would it be a struggle, or could it be as easy as open the book, start at step one, and go, you're instantly moving?
It's in a great franchise system. It's open the book. We give you step-by-step guidance. For example, when you become a franchise in our tax franchise, you come to training, you get trained, you get a huge operating manual. Although no one reads the operating manual. When they have a question, they call up. So we have a support system. But we have weekly calls going up towards January 1st. Then starting in January, we have calls twice a week. So we call our franchisee more than any other franchisor that I've ever heard of. We're on the call, and I'm on the call on Mondays and Thursdays from January on, saying, this is what you need to do today. This is what you need to do this week. So we've already laid it out for you. And we give you a plan of what to do every day during the season. There's 105 days in the season. If it's not a leap year and it ends on a weekday, there's 105 days. Every day you have a plan. But we add to that plan, we add examples of franchisees that are doing something spectacular. For example, we had one, just simple. We were going business to business, and we dress in costume. Our costume is a eagle costume, and we go away. So we walked into an automobile dealer and had a conversation and said, here's some donuts. And they said, we're in the tax business and we're here to help. And they said, well, how can you help us? And we said, guess what the most taxpayers do with their refund? Guess what they buy? And they said, what? And we pointed out the window, cars. And they said, wow, that's right. January and February and March are our biggest sales period from people with refunds. And so they were doing a roadside party with a radio show, and they invited us to be on the radio with them and to attend the show. So they're giving us for nothing. We're getting all kinds of we're getting on the radio, we're getting the people coming in, they're advertising for us. So when we have a win, we tell the franchisees. So now we have all of our hundreds of franchisees they can go to automobile dealers and do the same thing that week.
Wow. So you're not just giving them the the how to run a business, but you're giving them marketing ideas and promotional ideas and supportive ideas, and I'm sure hiring ideas and firing ideas, and how to run a real business. Because we all know, listeners, that running a business is not just sitting at the desk doing the one thing that you know how. You're juggling wearing 10 different hats at all times. So these franchisees have to do the same thing, but what a great thing to get all these ideas delivered to you with the step-by-step instructions included in a franchise. So for me, it sounds like it's the perfect way to start a business and have something be successful in it. Question for you as we start to close. How many, and I know might be a little bit of a tough question, but how many franchisees actually end up leaving the franchise relationship and starting something different?
Well, each year we bring in an average of, in my last 25 years, I brought in an average of 200 new franchises. Wow. And each year we keep 90%. I feel that's
fantastic.
That means that we've selected the right people, we've given them the right training and the right support. So I feel that's good. And the biggest reason people leave, it's going to probably surprise you. It's not because they fail it's because they thought they wanted to be an entrepreneur, but they're not good being an entrepreneur. And 2/3 of this country thinks they want to be an entrepreneur, but come to find out, only about 20 or 25% actually can be entrepreneurs. They're not risk takers, or they're not self-starters. There's no boss to say, I got to be there at 9 o'clock every day. So they show up at 11 o'clock. And so they're not self-starters. They're not risk takers. They're not delegators. They can't be owners. So, out of all the franchises I've lost in the years, I don't know one that went and started another business successful. Now, there probably are, but I don't know of even one that went on to do something. They just weren't meant to be self-employed.
And there's a lot of those out there. Nobody said that this was easy. And I think you have to have a certain mindset on top of everything to know that, it's like, okay, I'm working for the worst boss. I'm the worst employee of the company and working for a lot less than I did when I was working for somebody else. So I think, stomaching those kind of challenges, it's not for everybody. So I'm glad to hear. And, with your success rate, John, franchising, being a franchisee sounds a lot easier than the stories I've heard from not just tax companies, but other companies out there of, I bought into this. There's a lot of money to pay each month, stipend to the head company, and I'm not getting everything that I really need. But it sounds like, with your success and the 90% retention and the thousands of people that you've changed their life with, that your franchise model is very successful. So thank you so much for sharing that here. So I know you have a lot more brands that you work with, hence the company loyalty brands behind you there. Where can listeners find out more about you and opportunities to become a franchisee, a successful franchisee in the future?
I'm easy to find. You can Wikipedia me, or I'm at loyaltybrands.com. You can even, if you want a free copy of my book, you can send an email to me at John, John, at loyaltybrands.com. And I'll send you a copy of my book that talks about my journey of starting up my first two $500 million companies.
Wow. That's fantastic. I love it. And what a great opportunity to learn from the best, right? So real quick on you, how many, you mentioned before, Loyalty Brands carries many companies underneath it. Give us an idea what those companies are.
The hottest, the fastest growing, even faster than tax, is Zoom and Grooming. It's mobile dog. It's a dog and cat grooming. So we groom some cats, but we come to your house and we have a beautiful van. It's done in the van. And I love the pet industry. It's just growing by leaps and bounds. The
Yeah, a lot of money there.
we have home inspections. We have business broker where you sell businesses instead of homes. Like there's hundreds of thousands of real estate, but there's only 4,000 business brokers in the country. There's staffing. We have also an accounting franchise that does tax and accounting. We have Little Medical School that teaches little children from 4 to 14 100 different modules of being doctors and veterinarians, and then a roofing and siding company.
Wow, full array of choices that you can get in, and they all have John's magic touch on them for systems and relationships of making franchisees successful and happy, right? Love it. Love it. Okay, wow, listeners, I hope you found an idea or two to put into your business that will help you be more profitable. Or if you're even considering franchising or ever considered franchising and thinking maybe there's an opportunity here, buying sorry if I offend you, John, by calling it a business in a box. I mean, it is, when you think about it, it's a full service business with the support and the pieces that you need.
That's a compliment. I don't offend it at all.
Oh, good. And it's successful already. So why not jump in? It's often for those of us that, don't want to start up our own thing from scratch. This is a great tool for it. So I encourage you to check out John's book and Loyalty Brands. All right. As I mentioned, if you want to supercharge your business, go ahead and download my new Profit Booster Playbook, packed with 5 profit strategies and the actionable steps you need to make 2024 your most profitable year. Go grab it for free at boostingprofit.com. And John and I would love to hear your franchise success stories. If you're considering franchising, what avenue you'd like to play in, any questions you have, go ahead and hit us up in the chat, and John and I will respond to it. And while you're at it, please subscribe. You don't want to miss next week's show. And you can always catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, John.
My pleasure. Thank you.